Hello, folks. Here we are with another Saturday Night Live. And today we have a very special guest, Bev. Hello, Bev.
Hi.
And the reason we asked Bev to come on is because of her very special friend, Rosy, which is a dog. And we've watched the awesome transformation. And Bev is going to hopefully share the story of how it all went through and what took place and so on and so forth. And to show everybody that there's no such thing as disease. It's an illusion, man-made. And if you have the trust and the faith, everything is possible. We've shown that. Oh, no, you guys have shown it over and over and over. Not me, you guys have shown it. And it's just a beautiful thing to watch the transformations. And when we see people that are coming from traditional backgrounds and lifestyles and so on and so forth, we see a lot of fear happening. And this is where the support system is so crucial to allow people to get more comfortable and have a little more faith from people that have been through the path already. Because that's all we need is that faith and the trust. Right, Bev?
Indeed.
So maybe you want to introduce yourself and a little bit about you and how you came to find MFS and so on and so forth, and walk us through what went on.
Okay. Hi, everyone. Nice to meet you all. Well, I found MFS 3 years ago myself when I'd just become raw, and I was reading a book by a lady called Hildy Larson, and she talked about dry fasting, and everything I was reading at the time, I was researching and going on YouTube and finding videos, and that's when I found your videos of you doing dry fasting.
Okay.
And from there, I then found you on Facebook and joined the Master Fast, and gave it a go for 3 days. I did a 3-day grape juice fast, and anyway, through the time of being raw and fasting and learning about dry fasting, I noticed, my energy levels went up, and I started to feel good. And some of my little niggles that I had, like I think I had a goiter, I had a bad knee. My hair was falling out a little, and my eyelashes were very thin, and there was lots of little things that were making me feel like, oh, I'm slipping into old age now. This is what's going to happen. and then I started to see things turn around, and so I had great faith in it. So,
what was your lifestyle just up to the point before that?
Well, I've been a vegetarian for 30 years. And a vegan for 6 years. But I was eating, obviously, all the traditional vegan foods, the processed foods, and before that, I was still obviously having a lot of dairy and stuff like that, cheese and milk. So when I gave up all the dairy, I noticed a great difference straight away. And when I started fasting, I was definitely getting rid of lots of mucus, which I think was a culmination of that. So when I took the step to being raw, I think I was, sort of starting to really clean out then. And then I started practicing the dry fasting. So by the time it got to 3 years later, and Rosie got poorly, then I decided to try her, because I'd seen some of Michelle's stuff anyway. Michelle Gibson, isn't it? So how it came about was Rosie was doing this loud snoring breathing for quite a long time, and last October she went in to have some dental work done. So I asked them if they'd look down her throat while she was under anaesthetic because she was making this noise. But afterwards they said they couldn't find anything. So it was left like that. And then in the January, she went in to have a lump removed off her side. It was just a fatty lump, but it seemed to be growing, and it was on her rib cage, and I thought it was a bit uncomfortable for her. So I thought we'll get it taken off and, you know, make her more comfortable. So she went in to have that removed, and the vet called me to say they couldn't get the tube down her throat because there was a mass in her throat, and they were going to investigate it a little bit further. And they did a biopsy, and then that came back as a diagnosis of a aggressive carcinoma.
Wonderful names they use.
I know. And they and I had a good chat with the vet, and she said that she probably had about 2 months to live. So Rosie is actually my daughter's dog, but I look after her most of the time.
Oh, okay, it's your daughter's dog. Okay.
But she lives our houses are joined, so she lives in my house most of the time. And so she wanted her to go to a specialist to have a look properly to see what was going on. So we had a good chat about it, because I was trying to say, you know, not to get emotions involved in our decision, and to do what's best for Rosie so that she can keep her dignity and all that sort of stuff. So we went to the specialist, and he did some blood tests to see if it was anywhere else in her body, like her lymphs and all that, her lymph nodes. But that was all clear. But he said that the growth was 50% covering her airways. So he said, I fully expect in a couple of weeks she'll start sort of choking and gagging, and, you know, as it's grown so fast. So they offered us chemo. They offered us another, like, to chop off a little bit of it just to give her a bit more time, but we didn't want to do that. And then a light bulb went on, and I just thought, you know, masterfast, we've got nothing to lose because we're not going to do the other options. So I mentioned that to my daughter, and she was happy to go along with it. And from that day, I think it was about the 27th of January, I put her straight on it. And yeah, it was quite tough because Rosie is such a little pig. She really loves to eat. Even if she's full, she'll still eat. And she was quite overweight. And I always battled with her weight because, you know, I used to cut her food down and it looked like she was hardly getting anything. Wouldn't lose this weight.
What kind of food were you guys feeding her before?
Well, I was feeding her the kibble. It was WAG dog food. So it's like a mixture with chicken and cereals and stuff. Plus just a little bit of tinned, just to make it wet, because I didn't like just giving the dry. So they were on that for, you know, probably about 4 years, because I used to change. Like before that, I was giving them some dry, but with some pasta and stuff I was cooking, which probably wasn't good either.
Raw grains mainly.
Yeah, I know. But I definitely believe that it's like the kibble that bloats them out and makes them sick. I think that's the worst. It's full of chemicals and salts and colourings and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, so immediately I put her on the master fast, and within weeks she started to be more energized, I felt, you know. But she was always looking for food, you know. She would eat anything. She would eat tissue, she would eat bird poo, anything. So I had to constantly keep my eye on her. But you know, the fact that she had this growth in her throat, which was aggressively growing, I was determined that we were going to see it through. And yeah, she started to lose weight and started looking good, and yeah, it was really good. And the enemas was it was a bit tough at first. I didn't really want to do an enema on her, but I knew it was important.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and she was such a good girl. She was so calm and let me do it. And she used to get so excited after the enema. She used to run around like a loony. And it was quite amazing what was coming out. I call it the plasma poo,
Yeah.
because it's just like long and stuck together and black. But I knew it was pulling out all that rubbish that was inside her.
Awesome.
Saw a few bits of plastic and things come out.
So walk us through basically a day of the the MFS pet protocol that you
Yeah.
did with her.
Yeah, well, I used to feed her the broth and the plasma pudding about 5 o'clock, and then after I'd leave the water down for about an hour, and then after that I'd pick the water up, and she would go dry all the way through till the next plasma pudding at 5. So she was doing 22 to 24 hours dry fasting.
Oh, nice.
And I was quite surprised because I got 4 dogs. They were the other 3 were kind of half on it. So they were dry fasting with her, but they weren't just having the broth, they were having vegetables with it. But they actually weren't thirsty, because when I took them out for a walk and it had been raining and there was puddles, they weren't even bothered drinking from the puddles. So that sort of reassured me that that they weren't thirsty.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew from my own experience as well of dry fasting that you don't really get thirsty, do you, anyway? So that was fine. So yeah, so with the I'd usually give her an enema after she'd had her broth, because I didn't want to do it before because she was still dry. So she'd have her broth, and then in between that next hour she'd have her enema, and she wouldn't take the kidney tea, so I used to put that in the enema.
Mm-hmm.
And the lemon, anything with lemon she wouldn't touch. So the lemon and the kidney tea went in the enema. And then after her enema, that was it. She was dry right through. And the herbs would all go in her plasma pudding. What I'd do, I'd put them in a ladle in some hot water to sort of take the alcohol out.
Mm-hmm.
And then mix it in. And I had to start sort of feeding her separate to the others, because she'd eat her plasma pudding quick and then she'd be trying to get in the others' bowls. So I had to feed her separate for that.
Yeah, quite a challenge when you have all the other pets, animals around.
It was a challenge. It was a challenge.
Animals are addicted to food just like us, especially when you start feeding them food that they're not meant to eat. And you can see all the emotions that the animal carries through us. They carry all the owners and the caregivers' emotions completely if you really sit back and pay attention to what's going on. And that's why we have to train ourselves to remove ourselves from the monkey mind, because it affects also the pets. And that's the challenge. Otherwise, the animal instinctively knows. Once you start cleaning it up, it knows. Just like you said, when they're going out walking and there's puddles of water, they don't drink. If you drink water, you're going to get more thirsty. It's a simple thing that we've discovered. You eat, you're going to get more hungry. It's not rocket science. It's just thousands of people have done it and realized that, when we don't need science to tell us on a piece of white paper with a stamp that this is correct, right? It's so simple once you sit back and observe and pay attention what's going on. But working with animals is amazing, because they transform very quick, much quicker than humans. and especially when we can step back and let it happen, and support them. And you've done wonderful with Rosie, and we've seen the before and after photos. It looks like a completely new dog, puppy, compared to before.
She actually, as I say, she actually lost 3 kilos in weight, and she went down to what I consider as a perfect weight. She didn't go under and look really, really skinny. Maybe slightly.
What was her weight?
It was 11 kilos to start with.
Oh wow! So she lost. Nice.
She was quite podgy. Yeah.
Nice.
But I noticed as the fast went on, she got less ravenous as well. Like at the beginning, half of it, she was more always looking for something to eat, whether it, like I say, tissue or a bit of wood or whatever. But later in the fast, she wasn't as bad. She was at the beginning.
Parasites.
Yeah.
As she gets cleaner, she won't be hungry.
Yeah. I feel like she's due for another one now, because I'm sure all her issues haven't gone, because before she even had this diagnosis, she had a pancreas problem, an issue, and when she had her blood tests done by the specialist, he said that her pancreas was unhappy, but we knew that already. So I think she could. But I was wondering how long I should leave it before I put her on another one, because it was May she finished.
How's her lifestyle now?
Well, I mean, it's good. She's on chicken and vegetables. I cook for them every day, and they have raw chicken as well.
It's not Master Fast Hybrid?
Well, yes, they only have one meal a day. Yeah, and I always put in all of their meals, I always put the plasma pudding.
Yeah, but not the herbs.
Yeah, every day they have that.
Okay.
And that really helps, I think, because when I see what comes out and in this, and they're, definitely benefiting from that, I think.
But she's not doing the herbs at the moment, right?
No, because I didn't think like when they were eating, it's what they're supposed to do.
I mean, Master Fast Hybrid would for animals would have the herbs, so I would say keep her on them.
Okay.
Because she's fasting, she's having 1 meal a day, so it's still cleansing.
Yeah. And she had the healing reaction of like her eye. I don't know if you remember her eye.
Yes.
It started off where it just looked a bit sort of milky and bluey colour, and then it started to swell up, and she had this big lump. And I remember Eugenio saying that the body will find the quickest way out, won't it, to get rid of stuff. And it was like that for about 2 weeks, and I kept putting castor oil on at night, and and it just returned to normal.
Better than normal.
Yeah, it's amazing actually.
Yeah, we're always. We always want to try and treat things that are coming up. We don't want to have that trust and faith, allow the body to do what it's doing. When we're fasting, this is where few really understand the power of what we're doing. You start removing the obstructions, and the body's going to start dumping like crazy. And you just got to get out of the way. We can support. We can support, but that's all we really can do. We can't. Treating just gets in the way. Anything we do when we're treating, we can support with all the tools that we use, and this is the beauty. And this is where people have that challenge to get in the way and run to the doctor, run to the emergency, run to here, run there, because they just don't trust. They'd rather trust a white jacket and what they've learned through pharmaceutical teachings.
Someone else.
And that's okay. That's your choice. But the body has infinite knowledge of one creation. You just got to tap in and let go. And it's all there. You don't need to know how it works. Isn't that beautiful? we don't need to know. We know what to do. That's all we need to know is what to do. And it's built in. Like all the animals stop eating in the wild when they're sick or injured. we've been so plugged up. It's all mucked up in a fog, and we don't see that. Like for instance, when you got a cold, who's really hungry when they got a cold? But people still stuff themselves, to oblivion when they got a cold. It's just a habit. And as you said, as Rosie went along, the search for trying to eat everything and anything starts going down, because all those memories and all those obstructions are leaving the body, and it's returning back to the blueprint, simple, the way Creator created it to work perfectly. And it's just awesome when we step out of the way. But you were asking how long to go back on. They can live on that protocol for quite a long time, probably forever.
The hybrid.
No, not the hybrid,
Yeah.
the full protocol.
Yeah.
So it's really up to you. But yeah, of course, there's lots to be done. As we say, after your 108 days full MFS is when the journey begins.
Mm-hmm.
The journey transformations in that 108 days is remarkable, but it just begins after that. And this is where people have that challenge to understand, no matter how much times we've been sharing this information. It's because we're programmed completely differently than allowing the processes to take place naturally and stepping out of the way and just focusing on less is more and the art of subtraction, because that's really what we're doing. Moving away from one source of energy, which is 3D foods, into matterless energy, because we don't stop eating. We just are choosing a different source of energy when we're fasting. We're not stopping using energy. That's for sure. And we're doing it all the time anyway. Plants are showing us all the time that how they're living. They're living on energy, not on matter. And if we just pay attention, the answers are always available to us. So when you feel comfortable to start her again, it's really your call, and I guess your daughter, it's her dog. But probably good to wait about 6 months before you start it again, and see how it goes. Maybe you do shorter ones, 30 days on, 30 days off, 30 days on, 30 days off, or 40 days on, 40. It's really your call. It's pay attention to the dogs, speak to the soul of the dog, and the answers will come for you. There's really no definite mathematical answer for this. It's an art, and we need to
Art of faith.
learn to master the art, and it only comes through the experiences, and it'll be different for each and every one of us. But the basics of what we've structured with Master Fast, it's all there. It's just everybody's going to individualize it, because there's infinite possibilities of how you can work it and how people would be able to make it a lifestyle. Yeah, everybody will make it a little bit different for themselves. But I like people going on 108 days right off the bat. But the challenge is not many people have a plan afterwards, and that's the big downfall for a lot of people. So if you're going in and you really understand and you have the structure of how you're going to come out and live it, go for 108 days. Yes, go for 108 days. That's the quickest way to get a majority of that gunk out, as we've all seen who've done the long MFSs. So just pay attention, and when you guys are ready, jump in. Don't be fearful. You've seen the magic.
How are her symptoms now that she's eating? Are they like, do you see whatever her challenges coming back?
The lump, have you had the lump checked out?
I haven't been to check it out, no, because it means it would mean like her going under anaesthetic and having a look again, which I don't really want to do that.
Right.
It's actually on her larynx, the lump.
Okay.
But her symptoms, she seems fine. She's happy little soul.
Yeah.
So, but I just feel that she could probably do with going again. I do fast them once or twice a week anyway. Still,
Excellent.
yeah.
Excellent.
Do you find
Sorry.
do you find any differences between when she was fasting and now? Like,
gradually, there's a difference, I would say. Yeah, I'm only in her, like in her spirit. I felt like she was lighter in herself, and not so much now.
Just like us.
Yeah.
Is she more hungry than like you said towards the end, like later in the fast she wasn't that hungry and craving, but like how is her craving? How are her cravings now?
Bad.
Just like
yeah, she's always looking.
Yeah. It's exactly like humans. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
It's just like,
and the enema thing, it's like when we have an enema, we immediately feel better. And it was the same for her. Like on some days when she was a bit quiet or didn't seem herself, I'd give her an enema, and she'd be bright and fine afterwards.
Yeah. It's you know, we know what to do, and we know it works. We don't need to know how it works. We just know what to do, and we know it works. So simple.
We have a general idea on how things work. But,
yeah, basic, but
it's nowhere near what's going on. Yeah.
We have a little understanding. We really don't know. We really don't know anything. but
my other dog Daisy, she had a lump on her inside of her back leg thigh. She had it there for about 3 years, and I was keeping an eye. It started off like a little pea, and it did get a bit bigger, sort of the size of a 10p piece. And but I didn't take it to the vet for it. I just kept my eye on it. And when I started fasting them, it suddenly started to get big, and I put a castor oil pack on it, and it burst open.
Wonderful.
All this came out, and then she had a hole in her leg. So I kept dressing it, and it's gone now. It's fine.
Amazing.
That was quite amazing.
Wow. 2 stories.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just amazing what happens when we put that trust. You know, it's just beautiful. Like you know, a lot of people, they would be running to the vet and checking and this and that, or running to the doctor. Oh, is it gone? Trust, trust, trust. What you're doing is wonderful. I wouldn't be going back. I would never go to those places unless it's some kind of emergency, accident, whatever. You know, there's places that they're great at that for emergency situations, but for healing, leave it up to your soul.
I had to take her back to the vet to have her nails cut a couple of months ago.
Right.
And they couldn't believe it. They were like, is this Rosie? You know.
Yeah.
So
I think you made a post in the other group when we had.
Yeah. In the 5-minute appointment that I had, I tried to quickly give them, you know, a rundown. She'd been fasting, dry fasting on the vegetable broth, chicken broth. And they looked quite shocked when I mentioned dry fasting. But they couldn't believe it. They looked absolutely dumbfounded. It's just not. It's just not the way they're taught. Obviously, is it? You know, they learn a different way. So yeah.
So where's Rosie?
Gone to bed.
Oh, it's sleeping.
Oh yeah, it's late now.
Yeah. Once the sun goes down, she's in her bed snoring. They all do.
That's awesome. Just awesome. I know you posted some before and after photos in the other group. It's maybe if you have a chance to post some those photos again in the main Master Fast page so people can see the transformation. It's just amazing, like the progression of some of the photos you did, because people can't view those unless they were in that group prior. So anybody new cannot see those photos. And that would be awesome if you can, when you have a chance to do that. But
Yes, I will.
it's just awesome when we can, you know, witness the magic happening. It's just so awesome. And you really start to see and understand that there is a blueprint, a perfect blueprint for each and every one of us and each and every one of our animal friends out there. It's the only reason um, um, things uh, go to abnormal or deformed or whatever is because of what man has been doing to this planet and to ourselves and so on and so forth for so long, and trying to destroy its balance. Otherwise, everything works perfectly from creation. There is no chaos in the universe. Everything is in perfect balance, operating like a perfect symphony, a perfect dance, and it's continuously like that. Otherwise, it wouldn't last. It would self-destruct. So the universe is something that we reflect and um, uh, want to tap into that information because it's perfect. It's perfect. On this planet, we got humans with free will, and that's what's the problem here. If humans were completely eradicated from this planet, it would work perfectly.
No
I
problem.
agree.
If you eradicate any other species on this planet, like some insects, this, that, you throw the balance right off because everything is there for a reason. So we just need to learn how to get out of the way with that monkey mind.
Have faith. Just have
The
faith.
faith.
Really, that's really the biggest, I feel, thing, you know.
Connect, pray, meditate.
And fasting is the best, I feel, to connect us to, you know, to have the faith again. You know.
Yeah, just it's awesome. The witnessing the magic of all our wonderful, you know, members and animal friends. It's just so awesome. And Michelle was going to try and make it. I guess she couldn't. She's away. But Michelle is the one responsible for putting the pet protocol together from the information that's available in Masterfast. She has over 44 years experience working with animals, and she completely transformed herself with Masterfast. And why not, you know, let's do something with the pets, because people were asking me about pets. I says, you know, it's something very similar to what we're doing, but I never had a structure. So Michelle was the one responsible for putting that together, and you know, we thank her for that wonderful information, so we could structure it so everybody can use it. And that's the MFS pet protocol now, and we have it for various pets and animals, so we can pretty much help any one of our animal friends. You know, especially the domesticated animals, they're just as sick as we are. We feed them the same foods prepared by humans, which has nothing to do with what they're supposed to eat. Their diets are so simple in the wild, very basic, and usually mono. Most animals are mono eaters, very basic. So we just have to go back to that and do that. You know, the animals that get in trouble in the wild, it's usually because of human interaction in their environment. 99.9% of the time, that's the reason. So, you know, we got to turn back and start listening to our soul a little more, so we can gain that information. And no better way to fast and connect and watch the magic happen. It's just right now in our modern society of especially being in large cities, we're so toxic. Probably the most toxic state humanity has been since the beginning of time. Right now,
we are sicker than ever. That's for sure.
And we can see that with just autism levels going skyrocket, and the cancer rates and heart disease and everything else in between.
Genetics too.
All these names, yeah, the genetics getting weaker. But you know what? You guys have shown that genetics, you're born with a genetic whatever, can be corrected. Even genetics, but people say that's no way, genetics can't be changed. Sure it can. If it's not to blueprint, of course it can be corrected. We've seen it. We've seen it with few people. And it's awesome.
Mhm.
Just awesome. What about yourself? Have you done any length of master fast or not yet?
Well, the longest I've done is 11 days.
Okay.
And I've done a 7-day and a couple of 3 days. I'm more or less on the hybrid at the moment,
Awesome.
although I struggle to not eat the foods I'm tempted to eat sometimes.
Yeah.
I try every day, every single day is a new day. Where I start off, after my dry, and I'll drink the grape juice all day, and then it'll get to a certain time, usually about 5 o'clock, and like today I had a salad, so I was good. But other days I might do something bad, like a veggie burger or something,
There's much worse than that.
But it still feels bad to me because I know what I should be doing.
And
Yeah.
you feel it too, right?
Pardon?
You feel it too when you eat a cleaner.
Yeah.
You feel it.
Yeah, because I feel good up until that point, and then you just suddenly feel tired
Absolutely.
and a bit more heavy.
Yeah, that's how we learn. You
Yeah.
keep doing whatever, until you decide, okay, you know what, I had enough, and I want to sit down and make a plan.
Yeah.
I mean, you're doing it for Rosie.
Yeah.
So it's nice to do it together. Right?
So
Yeah.
you have all the pets now on some kind of MFS life?
Yeah, they're all on the fasting couple of days a week. They're all on the plasma pudding every day,
So
and
you have what, 3 dogs and one's
Four.
your daughters?
4 dogs.
Are they all your daughters or all?
Well, we kind of share them, but they're 3 are officially hers and 1 is officially mine. But I take care of them like on a daily basis. I walk
Right.
them and feed them,
Right.
and master fast them.
Big job having all those pets.
It is. It takes up quite a lot of time.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
But they've all improved health-wise, I think, since I cut out the shop-bought food
Right.
and I've changed their diets.
Yeah.
They're all a good weight, although some would say they're too skinny, but I think they're
Compared to what's average out there, yeah.
yeah.
Because
Most of the dogs I see out when I'm walking look bloated and overweight.
of course, they're all inflamed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're holding excess water because they're
Neutralizing the
the
toxicity.
body has to hold on extra fluids when you're inflamed. That's just what it does, and that's the average person is inflamed and they're holding on extra weight.
To dilute, I see it as dilution of toxicity. When we have the liquid, dilutes the toxicity in the body,
Right.
and it just tells you that your body is toxic if you're thirsty. If you're thirsty, you're dehydrated, you're toxic. Your body wants you to drink to dilute. This is how I see it.
Mm.
Very simple. So, any other? Okay, so the dry fast, you did a daily window with Rosie, and that was it, just a daily. Did you do any long fast, dry fast with her?
No, I didn't.
Just a daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to. I don't know what stopped me really. I think
Your mind.
The week you did
maybe I wasn't brave enough.
That may something you can start expanding now. At least get into you're doing the weekly already, but try and get into the monthly, the longer, the bigger squeeze.
like 2 days.
Start with maybe a 36-hour or 2 days. 3 days, pretty much most people can handle up to 3 days. If you can't, that just shows how much work you need to do to start cleaning the house. Animals in the wild, they may go a week or 2 without eating easily if they can't get their catch. So
it takes time though, even for humans to get used to the 3-day dry fast.
yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
So
I've started with the intention to do 3 days myself, but The longest I've gone is 42 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep practicing. Becomes
Oh yeah, I'll just keep practicing.
yeah,
At
becomes
the moment, I'm on like about 19 a day, 18, 19 a day. So
nice.
I'm hoping to go for a longer one with the season change one.
Yeah, yeah. It's very when we're eating, we can go for as long as we can handle, but it's always wise to clear out the bowels a bit. Maybe be on liquids for a few days before you do a longer one. It's always going to be easier on the body. When we're on full MFS, we don't advocate people going for long dry fasts. Just stick to the schedules, the basic schedule of the dry. Too many people wanted to be heroes and dry themselves out. And what actually happens is the body starts drowning in its own filth. It can't get rid of it fast enough, and that's how you get dried out. But just stick to the schedules. Start expanding on the dries once we get into at least 2 years minimum of clean eating fasting experience. I mean, living the lifestyle and living the clean eating, not that you fast and then you go back to your old ways and fast and go back. Living the lifestyle.
More and more. Yeah.
Yeah.
More and more practice. Yeah, I mean, it's not easy to change completely all of a sudden. It takes time and practice of doing mistakes,
Oh, I just remembered.
Hopefully not big mistakes,
Yeah, well, yeah, I never thanked you in person.
Oh.
This is Bev painted this, and she sent it to me, and has a few other wonderful gifts. And thank you so much for this. She's if you follow her on her page, she does many different paintings of animals and stuff. It's just awesome. So I got it hung up right here. So you've been painting for a while?
About 30 years.
Long time.
Wow.
I've just started dabbling myself, and then self-taught, and then just improved over the last few years, really, I think.
What inspired you to paint me?
You did. Sometimes I paint portraits of those that I think deserve a portrait, and I thought you deserved a portrait.
Thank you so much.
Because I just feel like you're a pioneer. You've opened the way for people.
Yeah, it was a big surprise. You're welcome. It was a big surprise when I seen you post, and then after you mailed it to me, I go, oh, geez. So, thank you again.
I never know if I'm going to upset someone actually when I do things like that.
My dad, even when I was young, I was dabbling, but I let it go. I had kind of a hand for it, but just it wasn't my interest, and that wasn't my purpose. But my dad, I've shared in my home Facebook page of some of the paintings my dad has done. He did quite a few and some big oil paintings and stuff. He was always into that. He was an artist and engineer, inventor. He did so many things. We all have our talents and uniqueness, and we can use our creativity to tap in. And once you clean house, you'll be able to find and know what that is. And it may take you several years of cleaning house until you find something you love, really what you love to do. Because today we see a lot of people so lost, they have no clue of what they love to do. Fasting will give you that and allow you to tap into your creativity and find your love.
I think not only what you love, but also explore something that you never thought you love. Like you might find more than one exciting thing when you're fasting. And it's really cool. I think we have. Yeah. I think we all have it. We all have. The ability to do so many things, but it's just. I guess we're not tapping in. And as we tap in, I feel that we can do not just one thing, we can do many things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I never thought I'd be doing this, but the universe kicked my butt and said, you got to start sharing this stuff. It was interesting the way everything, the synchronicities happen, and how all the things in my life happened to this point to be able to share this information that came through us. So we just continue supporting everyone that wants to live the lifestyle. Everybody else, there's many other ways of doing things, but this is something that we hold dear to, and we have a structure that is there for a reason, very important reasons, which few understand why it's all there. Just we didn't come up with it in a few weeks or months or years. It took many years of self experiments and wonderful teachers of the various different avenues. So
and the people in the Master Fast are really, big teachers for us as well, right? Like, I mean,
yeah.
We have learned so much from not only our experiences, but their experiences, of course, right? Because there are so many of them, and put together, you can see things.
Yeah.
You'll be exposed to so much positive results, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah. The challenge some people have is going through healing reactions, and they look at it as negative, where I'm saying absolutely not. Your understanding is not there yet, and it will be one day. It's all positive. Everything that happens during a fast, even if you feel like you're dying. And for some people, it may have to way back off because that trust in the faith is just not there. But if you let it happen and embrace and use the tools to pull you through, you always come out stronger at the other end. I've never seen the opposite happen. I've seen only people kill themselves eating wrong terribly after a long fast. They really do damage that way. I've never seen the fast harm people. Never.
But you want to be smart and follow the protocol, and
Exactly.
not go too far beyond the protocol, because it can be very intense.
Well, that's why some people have to back off, and it's okay. It's just not time for them.
Yeah, I mean, usually with the protocol, it's really quite easy for most people. But when you push beyond, like go for longer drives, and they feel really tired. Some people become bedridden, and it's not fun. I mean, that's why it's better to just follow the protocol and stick to the minimum. It's a lifestyle, so we have the rest of our lives. We don't have to start running now, like towards a goal. It's a lifestyle. There is no end. I don't see any end goal to this. It's just improve every day and feel better every day. That's my goal. This is how I feel.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel. Like this is now, it's forever, and it's continually training myself and slowly weaning myself off of those horrible addictive foods.
Yeah, well, forever, I don't know about that, but we continuously evolve and expand, and
who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, like with the information that's coming through in this age of Aquarius, I believe more and more magic was going to start happening in all forms. So let's just go for the ride and embrace it all. But the people that are going this route, this is a training for basically trusting in your soul to gain the understanding that the matter is not where the answers are. It never was, never will be. It's on the spirit side. And that's really what we're training for. And we're going to see more and more magic for sure, because of the people going through this and being that change and getting that energy into the ether so others can tap into this energy. And that's why the group is growing slowly and steadily and attracting the people that really want to be the change. We're not interested in people just trying things. There's many other.
It's okay. It starts
things.
somewhere for everyone.
Yeah.
You know, if they want to try, they try.
I know, but I'm just.
Yeah.
It's.
You know, it's okay. I mean, even if somebody is just hearing about all the positive results and they want to transform, or they want to heal some cancer or something.
Start reading.
Yeah, I mean, it's more a transformation than healing a specific disease. Yeah, it's more a transformation.
Yeah, we're not about healing any diseases. There's no such thing.
The body does it. Yeah, the body does it. Yeah, like you will reach a point when the body is clean that you will be like, disease, it doesn't exist in my life. Yeah, this is how you'll be very confident that disease is not something that even crosses your mind. I mean, I feel I have cysts, just like you said for the dogs, right? In my left breast, before even getting into cleansing, I had a big cyst on my left breast, and I think there are a few smaller ones. And when I fast, they disappear. I don't feel them. And when I eat not so well, they come back. I go back to fasting, they disappear. So it's amazing because I can play with my own tumors. So it doesn't matter I get diagnosed or I don't get diagnosed. I know what to do. Big deal. I'm gonna live the same lifestyle that I always wanted. I mean, not always, but like recently. The same. I don't care what anybody says. There's no cleaner lifestyle. I feel, at least, I don't know anything cleaner than what I'm doing right now. That's the highest level that I know that I'm living right now. So it's you will have this confidence that disease does not exist in your life. You're so clean. You feel the joints are,
open.
They're not stiff anymore. You feel like this is just one thing that you feel everything in your body, and disease will not even cross your mind. Yeah, it's nice to have this confidence because it is very scary. I mean, my mom died when she was 30, on her 35th birthday, I think. From cancer, but cancer treatments too. It's not really the cancer that killed her, it's the cancer treatments. Mm-hmm. A tumor is just a little thing, but then all the chemo and radio and the crazy amount of painkillers that she was living on, and removing her breast, so that's another emotional, emotional negative effects, on her. I mean, she's it's really hard. It's really hard for any human being to go through this. And in my opinion, that's what killed her at the end. Everything, the surgery of removing her breast and the chemo and the radio, painkillers that she lived on. It's crazy. Yeah.
We have a couple people have joined us. If you have any questions for Bev, now's the time. Bev, if you have anything else you want to share through the journey that Rosy had.
When after Rosy had done the master fast, I emailed the specialist and told him, Rosy was still here and she had no treatment and she was doing well. And his reply was, maybe the vet got the wrong diagnosis.
Of course.
Even though he'd scanned her and saw the growth in her throat as well.
And they couldn't put the tube into the throat.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, yeah. It's okay. It's all good. They cannot give credit where their paychecks will be interfered with. That's the problem. It's a challenge.
Yeah, it's very hard for them to believe. It's years and years and years of schooling and experience in what they do. They always thought that they knew best, right? So to challenge them,
it's okay.
It's hard. It's putting their pride down big time. So what can you do? you know, do what's best for you, be responsible. And in my opinion, there's no reason to go to the vet, right? There's really no reason to go to them because it's a very different way of thinking. Just like with, I mean, but that's my opinion for myself. You know, everybody can do whatever they want. I see this with humans too. You know, they have cancer and they're doing some, you know, form of natural healing, but like master fast or something. But they keep going there and they keep clashing with their doctors. And why do you do that? Or any other form of natural healing. There are, you know, there are people who are doing different things and they go to their doctor to get the test. This is the only reason they would go to the doctor. I'm like, why do you even need the test? Really? You don't like your doctor. You don't listen to your doctor. Why do you need the test? To assure you about something, but like the solution is always the same. Yeah. What's the point? You're wasting your time. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like for people. I mean, I don't know. It's all, you know. People go for different reasons. One, but the biggest reason is the diagnosis. They lie to their doctor that yeah, okay, and then, you know, I'm gonna go with what you say, but they just want the test and they go. So they're just it's like playing a game. But
Well, some fall into the trap of the fear, and then they end up going down that route.
yeah, they do.
I've seen that many times in all these years. I've seen that so many times, and those people aren't around anymore.
They get afraid. They become afraid because they're like, well, you know, you can tell they're not 100% sure about what they're doing. The people, you know, who go to the doctors,
they don't trust.
You can tell they're not 100% sure, and that's makes it harder. It makes it harder for them to heal because they're in doubt.
Yeah.
Yes, you got to have 100% faith, otherwise, no.
It's hard, of course, when you have a diagnosis like that you're gonna die. Right? It's hard, of course.
They believe in the diagnosis, so that's why they go through those treatments and get butchered and drugged up.
You know,
they believe in the diagnosis.
But for somebody who's new, never heard of cleansing, and then they get diagnosed, they're gonna be afraid. And to learn about cleansing and, you know, its power, you know, the body's ability to heal itself, there will always be doubt because they're new to it and they're already diagnosed with something threatening. So they come from a place of fear, and it's usually hard to help them.
And if you're brought up to have complete faith in doctors, you're going to have fear in doing alternatives, aren't you? Because you think that the doctor is the one that knows best.
Yeah.
That's all we've been taught, and that's all most of us know, right? Until you start doing your own research and using your perfectly programmed information from creation and tap into that, there's just no way that people are going to believe anything else than from when they've been taught. The programming is very powerful.
And I feel, you know, the doctors have way too much confidence to say some stuff. Yeah, I come from science, and you know, we're the ones who do the research, you know. But then you go to a doctor and they're more confident than the scientist. I mean, how can you be so confident about these results, you know?
Yeah. 2 months to live, 3 months. That should be illegal to give anybody a death sentence. It's totally ludicrous and ridiculous. The only reason they give these times and death sentences because when they put people through those treatments, that's how long they last averagely. So they know how long it takes to kill them, because that's what's happening. They're killing them. And it's just crazy when people go that route. Yeah, you can live whatever, 2 months, 6 months, a year. And that's usually the time frame that people end up going. And you know, there's cases where people were misdiagnosed and they ended up dying, and there was none. once they've did the autopsy, there was nothing in there. It's just all kinds of stuff's happened. It's just crazy. Anyway, let's focus on the beautiful stuff.
There's so much that comes to mind.
So nobody has any questions. Bev is in late at night, so if that's all we want to share, we can call it give it a wrap. And thank you so much for taking your time out and sharing this information, so people with pets can be empowered and understand that there is a way that pets can heal themselves, find balance again without being butchered up and spending a fortune through different means.
It was beautiful to watch Rosie's transformation, actually, and to see her, come back to life again and be so young and puppy-like. Even her coat changed because before it was quite wiry and thick, and now she's got more sort of puppy hair.
Yeah.
And her eyes become brighter. Yeah, it was lovely to watch the transformation.
It was lovely for us to watch too. I mean, it was so beautiful to read the poems.
Yeah, you can see it in the photographs very clearly.
Many people are so happy to read it. Very inspiring.
All right then, Bev, thank you so much again. And
thank you.
We'll keep that plasma love always flowing. That's one thing that animals do continuously, is they keep that plasma love always flowing no matter what. And that's why so many people are attracted to animals.
Especially dogs.
Having them around. They just keep it going no matter what. They were always so loving. It's just awesome to be around animals. But they're a lot of work.
Well, thank you both very much. Thanks for everything.
Thank you. You're welcome. All right, so we'll call it a night, and we'll let you get back to bed.
Thank you so much.
All right. Good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for being there, for supporting. And let's keep inspiring each other. This is how we will keep growing and expanding our awareness. Ciao, ciao.
Love you.
Good night. God bless.
God bless. Bye-bye.
Bye.